Today, Mr. Speaker, I can announce that we're issuing a licence to transfer £2.5 billion from the sale of Chelsea Football Club. That's been frozen, those funds, since 2022. My message to Abramovich is this: the clock is ticking. Honour the commitment that you made and pay up now. And if you don't, we're prepared to go to court so every penny reaches those whose lives have been torn apart by Putin's illegal war.
The United Kingdom has issued a final warning to Russian oligarch Roman Abramovich over billions frozen from the sale of Chelsea Football Club. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said that Abramovich has 90 days to release £2.5 billion for humanitarian aid in Ukraine or face possible court action. Starmer confirmed a license has been issued to allow the transfer to a new charitable foundation. He warned Abramovich to honor his commitment or face legal enforcement by the UK government.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Ukraine is facing a fourth Christmas of war and loss. A Ukrainian family I met last week spoke movingly of the help and support that they had received from our community in Newport, but also of the real pain of separation from loved ones still in Ukraine serving near the front line. Will the Prime Minister join me in paying tribute to the bravery of these families and those that support them? And can he also take this opportunity for them in giving the House an update on what more we can do from this government to support our Ukrainian friends?
Prime Minister.
Well, can I heartily agree with her? British families have shown incredible kindness and hospitality. We have been working by way of update with our allies on frozen Russian assets to support Ukrainians in their hour of need. Today, Mr. Speaker, I can announce that we're issuing a licence to transfer £2.5 billion from the sale of Chelsea Football Club. That's been frozen, those funds, since 2022. My message to Abramovich is this: the clock is ticking. Honour the commitment that you made and pay up now. And if you don't, we're prepared to go to court so every penny reaches those whose lives have been torn apart by Putin's illegal war.
The funds were frozen after Britain sanctioned Abramovich following Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Those sanctions triggered the rushed sale of Chelsea and blocked Abramovich from accessing the proceeds. The UK insists that the money must go exclusively to humanitarian causes in Ukraine under a new government license. Abramovich has previously argued that the funds should support all victims of the war, including Russians. The proceeds remain frozen in a UK bank and cannot be moved without approval from sanctions authorities. European Union leaders are also reviewing plans to use frozen Russian assets to support Ukraine. However, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban warned the EU against actions he said would amount to entering the war, opposing plans to seize Russian assets for Ukraine.
He wants more guarantees for the frozen.
Guarantees for what? The whole idea is a stupid one. To take away the money of somebody. There are two countries which are in war, yeah? It's not European Union, Russia and Ukraine. And somebody, European Union, would like to take away the money of one of the warring parties and then to give it to another one. It's a marching into the war. So the Belgian Prime Minister is right. We should not do that.
Ukrainian President Zelensky is pressing Europe to release billions in frozen Russian assets to cover urgent needs, including the purchase of weapons and support for reconstruction.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. Dear Diko, thank you so much. And Honorable President Sandu Maya, dear Secretary General Ubersia, thank you very much for this invitation, and thank you very much for everything, for your support, dear friends, ministers. First of all, I want to thank your peoples, your leaders, your people. It is very important that throughout all these years of this war, your peoples have been with us. Thank you very much for this. Thank you to your people, for all this support for us, for Ukraine, for our people, and for our children. Support for our right to defend ourselves in every sense of the word. Not only the right to physical protection as an independent state against external aggression, but also the right to live a normal life, safely, just as everyone in Europe or in any other part of the world deserves. Today, and indeed throughout this entire year, many significant things are actively being created for Ukraine. Developments that truly should have been initiated and started a very long time ago. At least in 2014. But in reality, in fact, considering how many wars Russia has started or supported, this should have happened even earlier. Europe has a very long, extensive history of wars, and it cannot afford to treat this lightly. All pressure on Russia must continue as long as the occupation of our land continues. Russia must feel that it is a criminal. To face the consequences for this, as long as our people remain in Russian captivity, and as long as the Ukrainian children abducted by Russia are not returned home. Sanctions must restrict Russia until it begins to show respect for peaceful life and for the rights of its neighbors. And of course, every Russian war crime must have consequences. Consequences for those who committed them. We hope that the Tribunal for Russian Aggression will truly begin to work, not only for us, but for everyone who wants peace in Europe. We profoundly expect that every single compensation mechanism, ranging from the comprehensive registry of damages and the various claims commissions to the actual tangible payments themselves, will indeed begin to fully function and subsequently receive strong, robust, and proper international support, so that all affected people can truly and genuinely feel that any and every kind of profound harm or significant damage caused by the ongoing war can be adequately and fairly compensated. This brutal war and Russia's undeniable responsibility for it must serve as a very clear and compelling example, so that other nations learn not to choose aggression. Thank you very much.
Moscow has fiercely opposed those proposals, calling them illegal seizures of sovereign wealth.
We see that the support of the Kiev regime by Europe includes the robbery, the planned robbery by the European Union of the Russian assets. They are planning to confiscate the sovereign assets, the currency reserves of the Russian Federation. The representatives of the West, the Prime Minister of Belgium, the leadership of the European Reconstruction and Development Bank, and the International Monetary Fund are warning the Brussels bureaucracy against these reckless actions. But we will see whether this will have any effect on the political figures like Ursula von der Leyen or Kaja Kallas, whose diplomacy is very blatant and open. They must understand that they will be kept responsible for such actions.